Hey, Foot Clan, it is 2017, and we want to wish you a happy new year, and hopefully you brought home a Foot Clan title in week 16 or 17. Just a quick reminder before we start today's show, you can head over to shopballers.com. There are 4 days left on the 20% discount for the Foot Clan title t-shirt, so head over to shopballers.com and take advantage of that right now.
To the Fantasy Footballers Podcast, coming to you from the FantasyJocks.com studios with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Welcome in to the show. It is 2017.
Your 2017 draft preparation starts today.
Kind of true. Yeah, we do, we take a moment to reflect on a season well run. It is the first show of 2017 for the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Welcome in champions. Welcome in near champions. Welcome in those looking to 2017 a few weeks ago. We have a good show for you today. Look, we are going to pause and reflect. We've got the second annual Footie Award nominations on the show today, looking back at 2016.
The illustrious.
The illustrious.
This is going to be a tough one.
The renowned.
Last year, I feel like the picks, when I was making my votes of this guy's going to win it, they were easy.
Yeah, it was Allen Robinson wins pretty much everything last year.
And pretty much nothing this year.
Do we have a just disappointment?
Oh, there is the Poopiest Pants Award of the year.
Yeah, we have a ton of great categories. We will be sending out a link where you can go and participate and vote for the Footie Award winners, and we'll be announcing those on the show very soon. We'll talk through some studs and duds this week, a bunch of the news. I mean, I feel like this is in order.
Woo!
I don't know if I've ever clicked the celebrate button to celebrate an injury.
Right?
But this is to celebrate the fact that David Johnson avoided devastating injury. It feels so weird, but the injury looked terrible.
Terrible.
Oh, he'd been around the wrong direction with that knee.
And it would just been an exclamation point on a terrible season for the Cardinals, where we had such high expectations as Cardinal fans. And obviously, David Johnson delivered for every fantasy owner in the world, unless you played in Week 17.
Yeah.
So,
which you shouldn't have. Shame on you.
It's your fault.
It's your fault.
If you want to follow our show all off season long, you can head to Twitter at the FF Ballers. We're on YouTube as well, and the show after the show is back, so you can hang around. It's only available on YouTube. You got another 5 or 6 minutes with us, maybe 7, 8, 9 minutes, talking about something exciting. Sometimes it's a TV show. Sometimes it's a ridiculous question.
It's always really important stuff, though.
It's always crucial
to life.
Yes, it's 2017, and we are serious about life here at the Fantasy Footballers. So it'll be good. We're going to go through the studs and duds, though, in the news, and we got Rising Stars on the show today. Raising Cane's Rising Stars with a glimmer towards the future. A glimmer? A glance. That's more like it.
It worked for me.
A glancer.
Jason's like,
Glimmer to the future.
News and notes from around the league.
Well, the playoff picture is set. And so with that comes a couple of interesting events going on. For one, we are participating once again in the NFL.com Playoff Challenge. There is a group set up for the Fantasy Footballers. Last year, we were the second largest group behind NFL.com.
We got to take this over the top, Foot Clan.
Can we do it?
I don't know. I think we might be able to.
Can we take on the NFL.com?
It is completely free, and you can go compete against us and fellow Foot Clan members. Go to the NFL Playoff Challenge. When you enter, just join our group, the Fantasy Footballers. It's as easy as that. And we'll give away some prizes to the winner of that group.
I like that. You just worked that out right now.
I sure did.
It's well done.
I sure did. And, the prizes are so good that I don't even know what they are yet.
They're an autographed jersey of him.
They're the priziest.
Rex Burkhead, autographed jersey for the winner. I'm just kidding. They don't make those
Someone
jerseys.
won a championship.
They don't make those jerseys. we are also competing against one another here in the studio. We're going to fill out a bracket just for the playoffs, and the losers. Yeah, the losers. Oh, yeah, I'm going to bring that up, too. The losers of that bracket will both have their lunches chosen by the winner for an entire week. Speaking of which, Jason made 2 outlandishly foolish bets.
Oh man, I
don't even want to bring them up because
I've never even gone into a week before.
You had no
knowing.
glimmers of the future to see what was going to happen.
No, I told Mike, we sat down in the studio to watch the games. I was like, it stinks that the games haven't started and I've already lost my bets.
And you did. So I get to choose your lunch. Now yesterday we took the day off to spend, New Year's Day observed. Spend the day with the family. Your wife had her birthday, and happy birthday to her, by the way. And so you got out of a day is basically what happened.
Yeah. Well, you can make it up.
So
we got 4 days.
do you
get
guys,
ready for broccoli sandwiches.
Did you guys ever see The Glimmer Man?
No, I never saw the Glimmer
With Steven Seagal?
No,
Steven Seagal was the Glimmer Man?
That's right. Okay. Well,
all right.
Then we won't talk about it.
All right. Oakland takes on Houston. Miami goes to Pittsburgh. Detroit heads to Seattle. And New York heads to Green Bay. Very excited about this weekend's wild card games. We'll be talking about those. I've got my picks. I've got to figure it out. I know Jason's struggling with a couple of them.
Yeah, the Houston-Oakland game is tough, and for me, I want New York. I can't
you
pick
want
New
them
York.
to win, huh?
I can't pick New York over Green Bay. Green Bay is just fire. But if New York wins,
You think?
I think they're in the Super Bowl.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
The rules state they'll have to play additional games.
Right. I just think that they match up well against both
Like shoots
the
and
Cowboys.
ladders.
Yeah, I think
They're on the ladder, right?
You win in Lambeau, you go straight to the.
I think they would beat Seattle. I think they would beat the Cowboys.
All right, David Johnson was diagnosed with a sprained MCL and does not need surgery, putting a bow on the celebration a while ago.
Man.
Big time. Great news for those that own him. Great news for the man that is David Johnson, who had a huge workload this year and just played so well. You hate to see a major injury, and he avoided one. LeSean McCoy, high ankle sprain.
This
was carted off. And
this was the cap for the Shady injury. Shady is, if you follow him, if you had him on your fantasy team, you know this happens multiple times a year.
A game.
You go, well, just at least a few times in the year you go, well, that was a season-ending injury for LeSean McCoy.
He's dead.
He's down. The helmet has come off immediately. Well, he was even carted off.
Ruled out.
Ruled out, carted off. And then in the second half, I have never seen this. He was upgraded to possible to return from out.
The Paul Pierce of the NFL. Jay Ajayi headed to the locker room for x-rays in the loss. He said to reporters that, quote, "I'm cool."
That's good.
Lamar Miller is set to return on Saturday. Tom Savage is in concussion protocol, so Brock Osweiler is going to start. And, Matt McGloin's out. I'm trying to hit the main news. So this is more fantasy relevant here. A lot of coaches heading out the door, which we talk all about offseason coaching changes in the offensive systems, how that impacts fantasy players. So the names to watch are, Mike McCoy's out in San Diego. Chip Kelly's out in San Francisco. And then Gary Kubiak resigned from the Broncos head coaching position. I know he went through a bunch of health-related things this year. He's stepping away. And then what else do we have? We have, obviously, the opening in Jacksonville already. And then there's been rumors about Sean Payton possibly leaving New Orleans. He said he plans on being there. But that would be, I think, a headliner wherever he landed if he was to be traded. And then Jay Glazer's reporting that Bill O'Brien and the Texans could agree to part ways if they suffer an early playoff loss.
Really?
I think Sean Payton.
Which I think is a shame.
Yeah.
I like Bill O'Brien because I feel like he's done so much with so little
he's
the quarterback position.
He's done a great job.
Sean Payton is going to get one of those rude awakenings. He's going to get the Ken Wisenhunt.
Yeah, the
rude awakening.
I don't have Drew Brees anymore.
Yeah, where he's like, I'm so good because I have a Hall of Fame level quarterback. And you're going to go over to a team that does not and go, this is much harder.
Hey, Drew, run this play. My name's Jared. My name's Jared. I don't even know what play that is.
That's funny.
Did you know that the sun comes up in the east?
I think Sean Payton is around for the Saints next year, but if he's traded, I want him to go to San Diego or wherever the Chargers are, just so that he can actually coach Phillip Rivers after Drew Brees.
Yeah, that would work.
have that.
The one that I am concerned about, this is more of a coach leaving, it would be Kyle Shanahan leaving the Falcons. You saw what his system has done for Matt. I mean, Matt Ryan's always been put up solid numbers, but him in this system, now that he knows it after the first year, he's just spreading the ball around, just absolutely dominating. I believe they tied the greatest show on turf for points scored. And people, I mean, people are not talking about the Falcons offense enough to me. When you have tied the legendary Kurt Warner Rams team in points scored. I mean, it's a shame they're not talking about more.
No way Kyle Shanahan is the offensive coordinator of the Falcons next year.
You're right.
He's on 4 different teams, like high up on their list of who they want.
Well, if you count, if you put Payton into contention with Shanahan and then with Josh McDaniels, who will not be the offensive coordinator of the New England Patriots next year either, you have offensive minds moving around. Is what you have.
That's nice.
So
that's
it's
nice.
interesting.
That's nice.
Jay Gruden said that Rob Kelley had a, quote, great year and expects him to be the feature back in 2017.
Got to work on that catching.
It's good to hear. Let's see if they back it up in the draft and in free agency.
Well, they don't forget they bring Keith Marshall back, who was one of the fastest players in the NFL.
He'll be back for 15 minutes.
He's
a walking injury. Has been since college.
DeMarco Murray avoids surgery for a torn plantar plate.
That
is expected, but hasn't ruled it out. That doesn't sound fun. But maybe some implications for the early season hype of
Derrick Henry.
He'll be an interesting draft pick. If Murray's back, Henry will be really an interesting pick as to where people take a shot at him. Sammy Watkins will undergo another operation on the left foot. I'm actually pleased by this.
Yeah?
Well, as much as, I mean, I'd rather him go through this and recover than I would have it hanging over him for another whole year.
I agree. Usually this surgery, if it's a redo, is kind of the 6-month recovery time. It's a longer recovery time. But you usually see when all these different NFL players have gone through that second surgery, that is the final, they play the rest of their career without having setbacks.
Brandon Marshall said he's confident he's still an elite receiver. Said he would, quote, play for free. His bills are paid. Wants to be back. Wants to win.
Don't go.
Yeah, where is he going to go?
Don't go to the Jets.
Yeah, I think he's still an elite receiver, personally.
I have no problem with that, but he's not an elite fantasy receiver if he doesn't have anybody throwing him the ball.
I think you'd like to see Marshall over the next 2 years, because he says he wants to play till late 30s. If he stays, I'd like to see him go through that transition that Larry Fitzgerald went through, because he could be an elite slot receiver too,
sure,
at 35 years old.
I want to see it because then they can unleash Devin Smith.
Robbie Anderson.
No. Devin Smith.
Okay.
All right. All right. Let's briefly work.
I like Devin. Sorry.
You do?
Yeah, I do.
He's very fast.
So you were being serious?
Yeah,
that face was a serious face?
That was it was the serious face, but I know his entire career has been derailed so far. He was a second-round pick.
Yeah, but
I think he's good.
You like him more than Rashad Perryman or somebody? I mean, because he's done nothing. All right. Weird. Let's talk about some stud muffins and some dud muffins. I don't want to linger too long on Week 17 unless it has kind of a forward look, but obviously a lot of owners won championships in Week 17, so we want to highlight some of the big names. Also, very humorous. We looked at this before the show. If you take a look at the top 10, no, top 12.
Top 12.
You can go to 13.
Top 13 running backs in Week 17. Do you want to know how many of the actual 2016 season top 12 running backs are in that group?
Yeah, you mean the running backs that were the best this year in fantasy football.
Yeah, the top 12 running backs on the season. How many of them finished in the top 12 in Week 17?
I don't know, 8, 9, right? 10.
You'd be wrong.
7.
8, 9, 10.
Well, you did the math, so
6,
you're a good actor.
5, 4,
no.
3.
Nope.
I think there were 2 of them.
2.
Yeah.
Yay, Week 17 is
Mark
great.
Ingram.
Mark Ingram and Latavius Murray?
No, it was
Freeman. That's right. Can you want to read back some of those names for the top performing running backs?
Your
in Week
top
17?
performing running back of the week, as expected, Rex Burkhead, Devontae Freeman, Char West.
Ooh, Char West, everyone's favorite.
Yeah, Jerick McKinnon, Devontae Booker had a resurgence there. The Big Salad,
Chandron,
number 6. D'Angelo Williams, the backup in Pittsburgh. Corey Grant,
Corey Grant,
the backup to the backup to the backup in Jacksonville.
That's Char West as well. That's Rex Burkhead as well. All of these guys are like
Zach
to the
Zenner,
backup
to the backup to the backup.
Zach Zenner, and we just want to throw out the honorable mention at number 13, Aaron Ripkowski.
Ripkowski.
Started in 0.2% of leagues.
Ripkowski and Zenner giving white running backs a good name this weekend.
Yeah.
It felt like week 3 of the NFL preseason.
That's exactly what
half
it felt
of these
like.
games.
I have never this entire year, and I would even go back to last year. I have never had a day of watching football as boring and disinterested as this week. I just could not get into all these games that don't matter. It was that's nailing it on the head. It was exactly like week 3 of the preseason.
There was also
Who's picking Corey Grant? What fantasy expert gets to roll out? That's why it's not exciting either. It's like we don't get to roll out Corey Grant. Oh, I saw that Corey Grant game coming. No, I didn't.
There was also very little playoff implications,
right?
Based on the outcome of the games. A few, but I mean, once Washington lost early, then it was blurred.
Yeah, we need to
talk about some other.
If you are in a week 17 championship league, I hope you won. Now bring up that it should change for next year. It's a good time. I think everyone at this time of year agrees, and if you don't, leave that league.
Yeah. All right. So quarterbacks that did deliver.
Aaron Rodgers has been absolutely nuclear. In fact, you've got the 3 MVP candidates between Aaron Rodgers, Matt Ryan, and Tom Brady that went morning, midday, and late at night. And each one of them said, "No, I'm the MVP. No, it's me. No, I'm the MVP." They were great. So you did have a little bit of fantasy relevance there. And then, Alex Smith had a good game.
Yeah, not too bad.
Julian Edelman rewarded all of it. Oh, wait. No, it's week 17. 8 for 151.
And
big boy game.
Michael Floyd.
That block.
Michael Floyd, the touchdown and the block. Just showing America that what you can get done when you make terrible life decisions.
Nice reward.
That's crazy. I mean, I told you guys this. I think he's the best wide receiver on that team outside of Julian Edelman.
As far as when you're talking physically talented, I would agree with that.
Experienced.
I agree with you. I do think he's better.
I think he'll play a role in winning a Super Bowl if that team continues to progress.
Yeah. Dowdy's there next year. Julio is another big name that actually had a good game along with Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas.
Oh, man.
He is
Michael Thomas.
Speaking of Michael Thomas and Julio Jones, Michael Thomas is the wide receiver number 7 on the season, and he is less than 9 points behind Julio Jones on the season in fantasy football. That is nuts.
Sean Payton did one thing this year that where he was not lying. The coaches lie all the time. I would say I feel like 90% of the information you're getting, like where you get excited about it, they have lied to you. Sean Payton at the beginning of the year said, if I played fantasy football, I would get Michael Thomas on my team. He spoke the truth.
Nailed it.
He spoke.
Mike Evans closed the year out with a great performance in our league format at half point. He ended up the number 1 wide receiver on the season. Jordy Nelson ended up number 2. So great year for Mike Evans, obviously. DeAndre Hopkins, 7 for 123. Maybe just to say, hey, remember me?
Yeah.
He had a nice 50-yard catch and run. Jarvis Landry, Golden Tate had good games. At the tight end position, Zach Ertz, Kyle Rudolph, Antonio Gates, they all scored touchdowns. Ertz scored 2 of them. Monster game, 13 for 139. Dennis Pitta did his occasional Dennis Pitta thing, 11 for 91. But let's talk about the tight end position briefly in 2016. When you look at the number 1 tight end, who was?
Travis Kelce.
Kelce.
Zeus was unleashed.
He scored 221 fantasy points. But that was the lowest tight end one season since 2006 and the 4th lowest since 2000. So when you put tight ends in perspective, you did not have a Gronkowskian, Jordan Reed-esque type of year from a tight end position, which begs the question, and we'll talk about it obviously a lot in the offseason, but what does that do to the importance of the tight end position in your draft and how you think about tight ends? If this season showed, obviously Gronkowski was hurt. But if you had Rudolph and Kelce and these guys finished where they finished, did everybody kind of put up similar numbers, so it's not as important to have that? Could you not predict that kind of team-defining tight end anymore? And so does that make it more risky to draft a guy high?
It was just like Mike said early in the year. It might have even been this season. It might have been in the draft season where he just coined that this year we have the Barfy tight ends, and that was the group. And I think looking forward to next year, expectations, draft values of all tight ends will be a little bit lower than usual, and I think it should be because you've got all your guys. I mean, look, Greg Olsen was like the safest pick, and he came out on fire, but he caused a lot of people to end up losing. He finished third, and all your top dogs, they didn't really perform. So next year, Gronk will be drafted first, but you can't be sure of his health. Who's second? Greg Olsen's a year older. It's probably be Zeus because he finished one this year. I just think, I mean, you have Cameron Brate as the best example of, like, he goes undrafted. He was, a top 6 tight end almost the whole season, and you don't need to spend capital on a tight end.
I just think that is the position where if you can go get a bargain, because you're always going to have hype around 5 or 6 guys. Go get the bargain that is Kyle Rudolph or Zach Ertz or somebody like that, and stream if it doesn't work out.
In a half-point format, here's some guys that finished as a top 12 tight end that were basically not drafted. Cameron Brate, Martellus Bennett, Dennis Pitta, Antonio Gates, Jason Witten. Those were all top 12 options.
Yeah, and there'll be more names next year. There'll be a lot of hype. Before we move on, we're gonna do a Raising Cane's Rising Stars and talk a few poopers before we get to the Footie Nominations, which I'm very excited about. Before we do that, I do want to thank today's sponsor, PristineAuction.com. I'm checking out Pristine Auction right now. I'm clicking the Daily Auctions button, and the first thing I see at the top is an Ezekiel Elliott signed Cowboys 35x43 custom-framed jersey, JSA authenticated. You got Dak Prescott right beneath that, Richard Sherman jersey, Barry Sanders, Joe Montana, Derek Carr. Oh, Derek Carr. You have just a wide array of amazing sports memorabilia from PristineAuction.com. New daily auctions go up every single day. You can always get a bargain. We have awesome stuff around our studio where we were able to snag just the other day a Le'Veon Bell jersey for $45, autographed Le'Veon Bell jersey.
You can't even buy a Lev Bell jersey for $45.
No, it's great. And Pristine Auction, they are the just the absolute best in sports memorabilia. Authentic. Been doing it for a long time. Really good guys. They're from out here. And so check them out, PristineAuction.com, PRISTINE auction.com.
And when you sign up, make sure you tell them that you heard about it from the footballers.
That's right.
We want to thank BlueApron.com, making cooking fun, making it easy, making it delicious. All right, BlueApron.com, you check them out. They ship you a box of ingredients for a meal that you're not coming up with this idea by yourself. Blue Apron is setting you up for success, and they're reducing food waste because they send you the exact amount of each ingredient you need for the recipe. Maybe you think, well, I live somewhere where Blue Apron can't get it to me. False.
Hogwash.
Blue Apron can be delivered to 99% of the continental U.S., and they're taking all kinds of steps to make sure that they're doing things sustainably, humanely. The chickens are free range. The pork is raised naturally. They care about these things at Blue Apron. I want you to jump on to BlueApron.com. You can check out some of the meals you can get. Here's just a little sample. Seared pork chops. Little taste of Blue Apron. Seared pork chops with farro and cranberry chutney. Spaghetti squash and marinara with mushrooms and garlic knots. Spicy shrimp and Korean rice cakes with cabbage and furikake.
Jason's eating none of this good stuff today.
I just realized I was looking at Andy. I was like, yes, let's go. I mean, this just sounds so delicious.
I mean, I'm telling you, you want to set up your date night and impress some people, you check out BlueApron.com. So check out this week's menu. Get your first 3 meals free with free shipping by going to BlueApron.com/ballers. You will love how good it feels and tastes to create incredible home-cooked meals with Blue Apron. So don't wait. That's BlueApron.com/ballers. Blue Apron, a better way to cook.
Raising Cane's Rising Stars of the Week.
All right, my rising star of the week. Oh, he burned bright in the Week 17 matchup. Zach Ertz.
Mr. 25%.
Zach Ertz ended the season as the 6th best tight end in football despite missing 2 games during the regular season. Look, we saw what Kelsey and Rudolph could do to finish in that top 3 range. You now have seen consistency, actually, from Zach Ertz over the past 2 years. Despite missing 2 games, you got back-to-back years with 75-plus catches. And basically, he started the year pretty on fire, 6 for 58, got hurt, missed some time in that game, missed 2 games, and then it looked like it took him about 3 games to get back into the swing of things. Now you go into another year next year with the same quarterback and system, another chance for him to show some consistency throughout the season. I'm just looking forward to Zach Ertz's 2017 campaign. I think he's a top 5 radar type of guy that you won't pay a top 5 price for. So Zach Ertz is my Raising Cane's Rising Star. Who do you got, Jason?
Yeah, my Raising Cane Rising Star is the best rookie running back this year. Whoa, not Ezekiel Elliott. What? Jordan Howard.
Oh, my.
Now, look, obviously Ezekiel Elliott, it was the most productive fantasy rookie running back this year. He ran behind the Dallas offensive line, was amazing. But Jordan Howard very well might be the better running back. Actually, one of our writers, Eric Ludwig, Von
Ludwig.
Our favorite writer to discuss. He wrote an article
between him and Kyle Baloney.
Those two are great writers. He wrote an article before the season saying is maybe Jordan Howard's better than Ezekiel Elliott. Caught a lot of flack for that because he's not Ezekiel Elliott. But we saw this year, both in film and in the numbers, Jordan Howard is the truth. He is legit. Matt Forte has been the prototypical Bears running back who came in, just on fire and set rookie records for Chicago, which Jordan Howard just broke. And this is on a bad Chicago team. It is hard to be a good running back on a bad team.
Howard didn't even start the first 3 weeks.
Just ask Todd Gurley whether you can be a good running back on a bad team.
Yeah, he didn't even Yeah, it is not easy.
I just saw a stat on him. Small aside. 500 different running backs. 500 have over 250 touches. He's in the bottom 10 in yards per carry.
Yeah.
For running backs with over 250 touches.
I want to say it was like bottom 3 or something. He was really low. I saw that as well. But, you're talking about Jordan Howard. You just nailed it. He didn't even start the first 3 weeks. He was the number 9 running back on the year. So Jordan Howard, he's a rising star to me. He is a absolute locked keeper. If you're in any keeper league, where you got him is almost certainly worth keeping him.
I am depressed because I let him go. I let him go midway through the season, and I wish I had him as my keeper.
Yeah.
So bad.
All right.
Mike, who you got?
I'm jumping in here with a man who has a very attractive first name, Michael Thomas. We share the first name. We share the same level of talents. For different things.
Oh, okay.
For different things. He is sensational. The second most receptions for a rookie wide receiver. You remember that great class that showed up?
Just for 92 for over 1,100 yards and 9 touchdowns was this season.
We had that great class. We thought it can't get any better than this. Well, Michael Thomas came in and said, hey, I'm Michael Thomas. Throw me the ball. He smashed the Saints rookie wide receiver records, and he gave you a consistent presence for and Drew Brees is a quarterback. He throws 5,000 yards in his sleep. Now we will see. There could be some shakeup, of course, if Sean Payton leaves. I still believe.
I don't think he'll leave. Just for the record, but
sure. Yeah. Regardless, if there could be some shakeup. However, when normally for that team you had to pay just a massive draft capital price, Brandon Cooks, and even then with Brandon Cooks, you get these 200-yard gains, but you also get just duds. Michael Thomas was not doing that. He was giving you a safe floor almost every single week with a nice, robust ceiling. So I think moving into next year, another offseason with Drew Brees, more time to build that chemistry, and that's what Drew Brees is all about, finding the guy who's open.
He went into that Marcus Colston role.
Yes.
That was the Saints' all-time leader with Drew Brees. He literally went into the same position, and he was
He broke the rookie record from Marquise Colston.
Right, so, the future is bright.
I remember when Colston did that.
I love Marquise Colston. He was my guy for I think I drafted him more than any player over the last decade.
All right. Don't forget, those were the Raising Cane's Rising Stars of the Week. We thank Raising Cane's for sponsoring the show this past season and that segment. And don't forget, with the playoffs coming up, grab your Raising Cane's tailgate featuring 24-hour marinated, cooked-to-order chicken fingers. In fact, we get more chicken finger feedback on Twitter than the average Twitter account.
You want to win your playoff parties and your Super Bowl party?
We did it on Friday night. So check out raisingcanes.com for your nearest location. Guys, we're going to jump into the Footie nominations. Are you ready for these?
I'm ready. My body is ready.
Hold on. Okay.
All right. The Footie nominations. Remember, we will post a link where you can go and vote for the official 2016 Footie award winners.
And we'll email it out as well. So if you're worried about missing that and you want to get it, go to thefantasyfootballers.com and get on our mailing list, and we'll email it to everybody.
All right. Let's start with the performance of the year, Footie.
This is a single game.
Yeah, single game performance. The nominees are Lev Bell, that Week 14 236-yard explosion with 3 touchdowns. You've got Ezekiel Elliott from Week 10. He had a monster game. Aaron Rodgers.
Julio's 300-yard game.
Yeah, that was something special. Matt Ryan had a 513-yard game in Week 4.
With 4 TDs.
I say that's the combo year, or the combo week
with Julio. Ty Montgomery's Week 15 performance. Y'all remember that? That made a big difference in your fantasy championships. That's the thing about these performances. How much did they impact your fantasy team as well? Marvin Jones, remember him? That Week 3 monster performance. And then Ajayi had that Week 6 game where he went bananas.
I think the Marvin Jones is the worst performance of the year because that monstrosity 6 for 205 and 2
ruined your team.
Betrayed our confidence.
So many fantasy footballers teams.
So those are the nominees for performance of the year. We're moving on now to the nominees.
Your favorite category.
To the Fantasy Reapers Man of the Year. So define that for our listeners.
So this is the guy that got reaped by Andy, and the Reaper strikes again, and he got injured because Andy gets guys injured. So here's your list. You got Andy's personal all-time favorite. Is this your all-time favorite fantasy football player?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
he's on the wall.
Yeah, right behind me. Arian Foster, you took him out.
Arian Foster, Doug Martin.
Well, first off, you got to acknowledge you took Arian out forever.
Yeah, he's done.
He's gone.
Forever.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not ashamed. It was time to go. All right. This is a player whose season was impacted negatively by injury. Arian Foster, Doug Martin, Adrian Peterson, Rob Gronkowski, Jamal Charles, Keenan Allen, C.J. Anderson, Thomas Rawls, Sammy Watkins, and A.J. Green.
Man, that's a tough list.
Yeah.
That's an all-star team for another year, but not this year. So you vote for the Fantasy Reapers Man of the Year, the player you think whose injury most affected fantasy football lineups this year.
Whew, man,
that's a prestigious award.
Yes.
We go to the infirmary and we hand that baby out to one of these guys away.
That's gonna be
that's
tough.
another difficult category.
Who doesn't love this?
Oh, the Poopiest.
We're moving on to the Poopiest Pants Award. Every week we break down the pooped in their big boy pants players of the week.
Season.
But this is a season-long award. So this one,
I feel like this
Huggies extraordinaire.
I feel like this is a 3-man race.
Okay.
But I'm interested to see your feedback here.
So
but these top 3.
The Poopiest Pants Award. Man, how things have changed. Allen Robinson is in consideration. Ended up as wide receiver 25. DeAndre Hopkins ended up as wide receiver 29. Todd Gurley, RB 17 after those high expectations. Cameron Newton,
quarterback 19.
QB 19. Kelvin Benjamin. He, much like Marvin Jones, flashed in the beginning and ruined people. Randall Cobb. Ew. Wide receiver 56.
Oh, man.
Poopy pants. But maybe he was already starting to get poopy pants last year, so who knows. Brandon Marshall. Wide receiver 50.
That's
I'm 50.
terrible.
Oh, man.
I don't know. You said you thought it was a 3-man race.
It's a 4-man race.
I think all these guys are worthwhile for consideration. So.
Randall Cobb. Who was really trusting him this year?
All right, so those are the nominees for the Poopiest Pants Award. We're moving on.
Here's the most, I say what is probably the most important award for winning championships, your waiver wire wonder. Waiver wire, man, that's where your team goes from, really good to great because you got that waiver wire gold. You got Rob Kelley, who once he came on finished as RB31, but he was a revelation for a while. Dak Prescott, quarterback 6.
That's unbelievable, man.
He was the quarterback 6. Jay Ajayi, after he came back, he finished as RB11. I lost a water bet with our man Brooks over that. Congratulations. Tevin Coleman.
Adam Gase he's not happy about JJ.
Tevin Coleman waiver wire. I feel like most people drafted him. Devontae.
Really? You think Coleman got drafted?
He did.
Did he?
I think so.
Yeah.
Devontae Adams finished as a wide receiver 8. He was scooped up off of many waiver wires. He knocked me out of the playoffs, and I hate him forever. Tyrell Williams, Terrell Pryor. There's a guy who started real hot. Tyreek Hill, the freak.
Tyrell, Terrell, and Tyreek.
I like it. The triple.
Triple T.
Cameron Brate finishes 7th best tight end. Kristen Michael actually finished as the RB32 ahead of Thomas Rawls, despite being kicked off the team. And then there's this guy, Jordan Howard.
RB10.
And while he might have been drafted, he was usually dropped because early in the year it wasn't his job, and then you scooped him up a couple weeks in, and RB10.
Lots of good names to consider there. I have a few that I think are headliners, Howard included. All right, let's move on to wide receiver footy of the year. The wide receiver of the year, this one goes to what we think is the best performance, right? Season long.
Man.
Mike, why don't you break down the nominees?
All right, we got the stalwarts, Antonio Brown. He's always killing it, always reliable. And of the big 3, I would say probably the most reliable this year, Jordy Nelson. What a comeback for Jordy up in Green Bay. There was a lot of concern. Could he come back? There was concern, I would say, even halfway through the season. I mean, you saw him at the beginning just getting touchdowns but not doing really anything else. Mike Evans, sensational bounce back year. How many touchdowns did he have that sophomore year? I think it was 2 or 3.
Yeah.
After a 12 season.
I think it was 3.
Well, and then back to 12.
Yeah.
Back to double-digit touchdowns for Mike Evans. Odell Beckham, the entire offense for the New York Giants. T.Y. Hilton, who
career high in yardage.
Yeah, almost 1,448 yards. I mean, that's a sensational season. And then Michael Crabtree,
The quiet killer.
Michael Crabtree, I like him on this list because there's a common theme for the other 5 guys is that they're all drafted in at least the top 4 rounds. Meanwhile, Michael Crabtree, you got him where was Michael Crabtree going? 6th, 7th round?
Yeah.
Well after Amari
later
Cooper.
than that.
Well,
Later than
well worthy of a nomination for the
Yes.
wide receiver of the year. Running back nominations, it's a 5-man race, and they're all big boys.
Yeah, tough call. It's almost a shame that Melvin Gordon doesn't get to be in this. I get that because he ended the year, but these were the guys
wanna
that
put him
won
in?
championships.
We're actually in charge of this award show.
Really?
Yeah.
You know he's not going to win over these guys, so we'll leave it at these.
David Johnson.
David Johnson.
Wow. What a game. What a year for David Johnson. He had, was that right? 1,239 yards rushing to go with 879 yards receiving.
Oh my goodness. Is that I got to
80 receptions.
I got to go bask in that real quick.
Le'Veon Bell ended up the RB3 with only 12 games.
It's just nuts.
Shady McCoy ended up the
with
RB4.
only 3 games.
No, I said 12, didn't I?
Yeah, you said it right.
RB3, yeah.
Right.
Ezekiel Elliott was the obviously the rookie sensation, dominated, led the league in rushing yardage. And DeMarco Murray, big-time season from DeMarco in his first year in Tennessee. So DJ, Lev Bell, Shady, Ezekiel Elliott, and DeMarco.
Yep.
That is a good list.
And then and just a reminder, when you're voting, I mean, you vote for we take into account multiple things. Like I talked about Crabtree, draft position, I think sometimes has to factor into this. So you might be listening to this list thinking, well, David Johnson's the clear winner. Well,
You're
perhaps, but you had to take DJ in the first round. Meanwhile, Shady McCoy was dropping down into the 3rd round.
All right.
And DeMarco Murray even lower.
A lot of categories left to get through, so let's go ahead and move on. Tight end of the year, we've got Travis Kelce, Greg Olsen, Delaney Walker, Jimmy Graham, Cameron Brate, and Kyle Rudolph, also known as the tight end 2.
Wow, he finished strong. And let me just give a public service announcement. Please do not vote for Greg Olsen. All right, quarterback of the year.
I mean, this list, man. Where's Jordan Reed? Where's Gronk?
All right, quarterback of the year. You got the names that you expect, like Andrew Luck and Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers. But we're also going to have to throw in, obviously, Matt Ryan, the
Big
quarterback
boy year.
2 on the year that you could draft. Sometimes you could pick him up off of waivers after the season, or you could get him in the 10-plus round. And Kirk Cousins, we had a Fannings debate of the week early on, Mike.
We did.
Before the season as to whether or not he could be a top 12 quarterback. And you won that one because
the answer is
QB5.
yes. The answer is yes.
QB5 for Cousins.
All right.
And yet, still question marks about Cousins long term.
I mean, he almost threw for 5,000 yards.
Yeah.
Now, this is, I think, the quintessential Footie Award. Like, when I think of you go to the Oscars and you got the final Oscar is Best Picture. To me,
This is our best picture.
This is your best
best picture.
Well, why don't you break them down?
Such
The
a big
Footie
category.
Award
There's
goes.
some
Some
pressure.
serious stuff.
Some
This
stress.
one is for the fantasy footballers nickname of the year. Last year, we saw that Dan Campbell and Guns Mahoney got a lot more votes than I expected.
That was outrageous.
People loved it. But here's the list for this year. Here's some of our best nicknames. We got the Mad Hatter for C.J. Fedorowicz. We got the Rolls Royce
blah 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 blah.
for Thomas Rawls.
The Wonka machine.
You got Tyreek the Freak Out for Tyreek Hill.
Oh, do we got that?
Yep. All right, and we got the Woke One
Oh, the woke
for
one.
Kristen Michael. Had
Holds
some good
holds
run.
a place in my heart.
Don't forget about the Slippery Fish.
Shady McCoy.
Hooked. Hooked on a feeling.
You psyched me out with the way you went into that.
I know. I apologize. All right, we got the worst one. Please do not vote for
Oh, what is this even in here for?
CJ Goat Size, which we didn't even come up with that name.
No, that's terrible. I'm taking it out.
Delete. All right, Mike's probably Mike's vote. I'm guessing.
I don't know. There's a lot.
I
that
know there's
like
a lot
here.
of good ones here, but we
Especially
got
that CJ Goat size one.
Well, you can't vote for that. We're getting it out of but the Beazles. The Beazles. We know you had
Cole Beasley.
a very strong case of the Beazles all year. We got Blah Pow.
Blah, blah.
And we also have a guy who it's pronounced
Crowder.
Crowder for Jamison Crowder. And finally, we have Adam Humphries.
Pronounced with
Pronounced with an Humphries. So there's your list.
We
It's
have
not even a nickname.
We have the stupidest show.
It's the greatest show.
The worst.
That's a lot of brand new nicknames for this year to add to last year's group. I'm gonna
I'm
gonna need to. Last year it was Peach Cobbler and the Abdullah Express and Guns Mahoney and Rule 86.
I put this shirt on today.
Maximum Barnage,
Right.
Dirty Cake.
Right here. I'm wearing the nickname
yeah.
shirt, and it dawns on me.
We need a
2017
Yeah,
or 2016 nickname shirt.
yeah, absolutely. All right, Footie Breakout Player of the Year.
Do we need to sneak Easy E onto there?
No.
Nah.
All right.
Breakout Player of the Year, Marcus Mariota, ended up QB 13. Derek Carr, QB 9. Jay Ajayi ended up RB 11. Tevin Coleman up into RB 18. Devontae Adams, wide receiver 7. Travis Kelce. Melvin Gordon, RB 7. And Cameron Brate, tight end 7 for Breakout
So
Player
let
of
me
the Year.
just-
This is an ascension for
Yeah.
a player.
Let me just ask. We won't do this on every category. Maybe we won't do it anywhere else. But on this category, where's your vote?
Melvin.
Ooh,
yeah.
Melvin might be mine as well.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Melvin's my vote.
I thought about Kelsey Adams.
I think Melvin's going to run away with it, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree that he probably will. I think I'm taking in Mariota into strong consideration here because he, to Andy's credit, Andy loved Mariota in the all off
Early off season.
and I buried him. I gave Mariota zero chance. If I could go less than zero, that's how much of a chance I gave
Down
him.
at the Devontae Freeman level?
Yeah, exactly. But he played fantastic. If he was in a little bit more of a pass-heavy offensive scheme, get him some more weapons. I like Rashard Matthews, but I mean he needs a weapon in Tennessee. Hopefully they
Not
can,
a weapon, but a weapon.
Yeah, hopefully they can solve that with the draft pick situation that they took care of trading down last year.
A lot of these categories are tough. This next category, I think, will be very easy for most people, despite a lot of good nominations.
Yeah,
Rookie of the Year?
It'll be a runaway.
it will.
Rookie of the
You
Year.
got Jordan Howard, Michael Thomas, Tyreek the Freak, and Dak Prescott. as your runner-ups to
Yeah.
Ezekiel Elliott. But, let the voting – you can vote for whoever you want. Let's see if I'm right.
I always enjoy these next two categories. These are the last two for the Footie Awards. The comeback player of the year, the bounce back performance, somebody that was fantasy relevant. Maybe they didn't perform, and then now they did. They had a big year. Jimmy Graham has to be there.
I mean, take my hat off to him because
tight end number 4.
You talk about burying a guy below 0. That was Jimmy Graham. There is no chance. I did not give him any chance on the planet of coming back healthy off of this injury, and he was the tight end 4.
You both really need to listen to me more. I think that's what I've learned out of the Mariota and the Jimmy Graham thing.
Hey, I'm just impressed that he came back from that kind of an injury this quick, and so hat is off to Jimmy Graham. DeMarco Murray certainly came back.
RB5, big year. Andrew Luck, I'm telling you right now, it's January 3rd, so things subject to change.
He's your quarterback.
Andrew Luck
next
is
year.
my favorite quarterback next year. When you consider where draft position will be with what I saw from Andrew Luck with no offensive line. I mean, you looked at what Oakland did. They give up like 16 sacks on the year.
Are you saying
Andrew Luck had like 40?
Are you saying no offensive line as if the Colts are going to fix that?
They can't
because
make it worse.
You can't get worse.
They can only get better.
You can absolutely, that train can remain steady.
But
I
Andrew Luck found a way to throw 31 touchdowns for 4,240 yards, ran for 340 yards, was the QB4 with that offensive line.
And he missed
He's
a
my
game.
favorite quarterback for next year.
He was in 15.
And remember, you should listen to me now.
You're telling me they're when they're on the clock, there's not going to be some shiny wide receiver that they want to draft?
Well, okay, so you got Andrew Luck in there, but Matt Ryan is for
huge.
this year as a comeback player of the year. I mean, he finished as the quarterback 2, and no one believed in him. And of course, Melvin Gordon after that lousy rookie year also qualifies for a comeback player of the year.
All right, this is my favorite category.
It's
because it's fantasy football,
Yeah.
and the steal of the draft, much like the waiver wire wonder, defines how your team finished in the season.
a lot of these guys, a little here. Some of these guys were the guys we were very, very high on in our draft season, in our ultimate draft kit, and they became the steal of the draft. I'll kick it off with who would get my vote for this year, LeGarrette Blount. LeGarrette Blount, he finishes the RB8.
And the number, I'm quickly throwing them in afterwards. The number after, that's where he was drafted. So he was 102nd overall.
Wow. You get him in the hundreds for an RB1 who always found his way to the 1-yard line on a 1st and goal. I mean, what was it? 8 of his touchdowns, I think?
It was 10.
11.
10, 11. Oh, it was 11?
11 of his 18
right.
touchdowns were from the 1 yard
I
line.
mean, it's just like we said it all year. Does any team ever find themselves on the 1-yard line more than the Patriots?
Matt Ryan was drafted at the 140th spot in the draft. He ended up the QB2. We talked about him earlier. LeSean McCoy was the RB4, but he was drafted at 26.
That's great.
Third
value.
round.
Third round. Melvin Gordon, I think he was more instrumental for fantasy teams than almost anybody in the entire league this year, outside of maybe the David Johnson and Ezekiel Elliott. Because Melvin Gordon he was drafted 64th overall pick, ended up the RB7, but the RB7 betrays his value.
Oh, big time
because of his
betrays
injury.
it.
He
was top 3.
And for a while there, he was winning you weeks every week.
He also has to send half of his award to Danny Woodhead
For going out.
Yeah.
But come on. I mean, Melvin Gordon didn't even get 1,000 yards on the season.
Yeah, only 997. T.Y. Hilton, 34th player off the board, ended up wide receiver 4. Emmanuel Sanders, 65th player off the board, ended up the 21st best wide receiver.
And in any receiver, what?
That's all right. I mean, that's actually not that impressive to me.
I agree.
You made the case for him before, but 65th player off the board?
Hold on.
And he finished wide receiver 21?
That's not impressive.
He was off the list.
Yeah.
Maybe Sanders off the list.
All right. Forget him. DeMarco Murray, 38th player off the board.
So he fell. Hold on. He fell down to what? Wide receiver 21? Is that what we said?
Yeah.
Okay. I had filled these out after week 16 when he was in the teens.
Yeah.
So he fell hard.
Yeah. He's not a steal of the draft, but you have Blount, Ryan, McCoy, Gordon, Hilton, and DeMarco Murray in consideration here for the Footie Award for Steal of the Draft. We invite you. Check out the website. We'll come up with an article for all the nominations, and we want your vote. because we'll be delivering the official second annual Footie Awards.
Well,
and that's a fun show.
Puff Daddy said it best
Mm-hmm.
when he said vote or die.
Right.
So, Foot
Yeah,
Clan,
really, there's no other way to put it. Hope you enjoyed the show. We'll be back. Just so you want to know the schedule for those out there listening now saying, hey, I didn't hear you on Monday. We have 2 shows a week right now. We're coming out with shows on Tuesday and Thursday. We also have show after the show. That'll be on YouTube.
That's coming up right now.
That
and
is
are
coming up
we
right now.
discussing? Are we discussing the coaching where we would want to coach?
We can do that, and we could do our picks for the first week. I think that'd be good too.
All right. All right.
All right, that is it for today's show. Thanks for listening. Check out the website, thefantasyfootballers.com, and jointhefoot.com, our fantasy football community. And don't forget, celebrate that title with a trophy from fantasyjocks.com. I've already seen a lot of pictures, so check them out, fantasyjocks.com, coupon code FOOTBALLERS.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.